Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. And welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series where I talk about what's happening with Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it. More importantly, asking for yours. There's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about today. Chelsea have, of course, had their FA Cup draw. We won't spend too long on that, but a favourable one indeed. I'm going to use xvalue.ai, a stats website that I use to demonstrate some surprising stats and perhaps illuminating data where we all need to readdress how we're feeling about things. And similarly as well, I kind of want to end the video talking about Mykhailo Mudryk, who was quietly going about his business, contributing to this Chelsea team and probably developing the way he needs to, of course winning the decisive penalty yesterday, which saw Chelsea defeat those muggy little seagulls, Brighton.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Feels good to come off a win, ladies and gentlemen. How you feeling? Let me know. By the way, welcome and thank you for supporting the content, continuing to do so. Please do consider liking and subscribing and commenting and all that good fun, man. Alright then, so let's talk about the FA Cup draw firstly. We are facing Preston in the FA Cup. Chelsea will face Preston North End in the FA Cup third round. The Blues host the Championship side at Stamford Bridge. Of course, this is in early January. In about a month's time, looking to progress in the fourth round. Chelsea were defeated at the third round last season, of course, defeated by Man City. Rotten luck, we had Man City away for both the League Cup and the FA Cup, which essentially personified last season and our luck and everything, although we were just terrible. But yes, progressing in both cups this season, looking better. And I fancy us. The FA Cup, of course, qualifies you for Europa League. The Carabao Cup qualifies you for the Europa Conference. Chelsea will want to be in Europe regardless. It won't be one of those seasons that we'll be like, wow, we're out of the Champions League for a season to settle ourselves down. Like maybe we thought last season. Nah, nonsense. We're spending money. We can't spend multiple seasons out of Europe entirely. So at this point in the Conference League, in my opinion, is better than no Europe. It's a chance for a new sponsor, bearing in mind Infinite Athlete, our current sponsor, it's just one season. So when you negotiate with a new sponsor, they want Chelsea to play more games with different eyes on them, seeing that sponsor on the shirt. Even if it's in the Conference League or whatever, if Chelsea make it to a Conference League final with a relatively big team like a Roma or something, that's a high profile game that the sponsor will want to be on your shirt. So these little things you got to consider. Plus also, it gives Pochettino a chance to try different things, and it gives us just Chelsea fans more games to watch. Every now and again, a season out of the Champions League sort of is fine, but I work covering Chelsea. I want to watch Chelsea games. I enjoy it. I'm a fan. I'm sure many of you want to see games as well. So, winning either one of those cups will qualify you for Europe, and I think that's important. Of course, finishing maybe fifth would be better, and who knows, we might get there. So I'm going to show you some stats in just a second. I had this moment watching Match of the Day 2 this morning, and by the way, I am going to talk about the other games on my sister channel, Football Yannick, because absolutely insane results this weekend, and that Simon Hooper decision against Man City is farcical. So yeah, if you want my thoughts on all the other non-Chelsea games, feel free to subscribe to Football Yannick, which is of course the same as my Instagram handle, Football Yannick, for additional content. But I was thinking about Chelsea and this game, of course, we were about Reece James, Gallagher got sent off, we were without Gusto, we were without Chilwell, Cucurella, all our fullbacks. Of course, we're still waiting for Nkunku. Players like Carney Chukwuemeka look like he could be really, really useful. Of course, we've even spoken about how Lavia could actually change the dynamic of our team. So there's loads of things to consider. And I was just thinking you know what, it's just going to take time. I was thinking about other successful managers. Of course, Guardiola finished fourth in his first season, and that is he inherited an amazing team with the likes of De Bruyne and prime Aguero and stuff like that, and they still finished fourth. Of course, we all know Klopp struggled for a long time, and they were in transition. I think he finished 7th or 8th or something. So I was thinking I know we spent a lot of money, but I was just thinking, this is going to take time. Because I was looking at his substitution, he was bringing on Maatsen. and stuff like that. And this isn't a player that he generally wants to use, certainly not in his preferred position at left back. And I was thinking, like, it's going to take time before Pochettino has a squad of players that he knows that can play in certain positions in the ways that he likes. That is just, it doesn't matter the talent you've got, all the players you've got, a good coach and good coaching team. It's just going to take time for everyone to settle. All these other good managers, they know certain players they can bring on in certain positions just to play the certain way they want to, that they can rely on. We're not actually at that yet. Of course, the huge talking point has been like, Chelsea are immature and they're too many young players and they need discipline. Yeah, and that is true, and that may be a prevailing problem in recent games. But this straight up, oh yeah, it's just gonna take time. Like, you know, all this. I just had this moment of like clarity. Of course, I'm frustrated. I'm a Chelsea fan, and you know we can win one week and not the next. But in the more turbulent and difficult times, Pochettino is going to need to just be able to go, right, well, we know what I can turn to and rely on, and he just hasn't got that yet, so that will take time. Anyway, I'm digressing slightly. This is what we're about to look at. So using xvalue.ai, I'm looking at Chelsea's player stats, so who was offering the most in each metric, and it's really, really interesting, so let's check it out now. So here we go. So we've got goals, of course, and this is Premier League. So 6 goals to Nico Jackson, 5 to Raheem Sterling, and of course 4 to Palmer, all being penalties, and then Fernandes and Mudryk with 2. I didn't know he had 2. I thought it was just that one against Arsenal. So, you know, spread across players, we could probably get a few more goals, but that's fine. Expected goals, Nico Jackson's on pretty much 8. So a good, and this is not excellent, this is like a good average Premier League striker in Jackson's position should have 8 Premier League goals. Now, I think Jackson might have a couple of assists and stuff. It's his first season in the Premier League, turbulent side, but ultimately that's very, very telling. You know, a really good striker, you know, from, say, it's 7.82, but let's call it 8 expected goals. You know, Haaland might have 10 goals out of that. You know, good strikers slightly overperform XG, and of course, he's, you know, quite largely underperforming, but he is dominant here. So goals, expected goals, and non-penalty goals, of course, as well, because he hasn't scored any penalties. And of course, with expected 4.66 for Sterling, and Cole Palmer's on 4.7 because of the penalties, which we added to that. But it's still, you know, good from Palmer. So assists, Conor Gallagher leads with assists. I don't think he's scored yet, but you know that's good because his defensive stats are good. So to have 4 assists, that's good. Palmer with a couple, Gusto with a couple, which is actually impressive from Gusto. Probably can do a little bit more from Raheem Sterling, and of course Chilwell hasn't played. And I say Raheem Sterling because if you look at expected assists, he's got nearly 2.5, so he's underperforming with assists there. But the problem is with Raheem Sterling, he often plays like hero ball, doesn't he? Certainly he feels like this Chelsea side, he's supposed to be Eden Hazard when really he's not, you know what I mean? But then again, look, he's just still everywhere. Look, open play assists top right here, open play expected assists, which is kind of similar as well. It's basically not taking a corner because he's not on corners or free kicks. Though he did score an amazing free kick. So he's pretty dominant again. And then again here, expected threat. Now, expected threat, I believe, is measures the increase of probability of scoring provided by passes and ball carries. Essentially, it's being an offensive player, like driving towards goal, short passes, through balls, dribbles, you know, really progressive and being threatening towards the opposition goal. It's a way of quantifying expected threat. So, and yeah, there he is again, Raheem Sterling at the top. So people have been frustrated with him, and for good reason at times, but, you know, him and Jackson so far, just dominating all our offensive stats. Palmer, again, very good to be up there. Fernandes, good to be up there as well. And then Mudryk and Jackson follows. Now, expected threat from passes, this is good. So this is Enzo coming alive a little bit, but we need to see a little bit more from him in terms of attacking generally. Expected threats from carries, yet again, Raheem Sterling is there at the top. Expected over, I don't actually know what this means, offensive value added, which measures the increase of probability of scoring using 2 terms. The first term is the sum of the expected goal contributions in open play. Right, a little bit rich for me, but nice to see Nico Jackson's at the top there again. And to be honest, bro, it just doesn't stop. Of course, shots on target, Nico's got 16, and the next up is Sterling, and Fernandes with 10 also. So joint second is Enzo Fernandez. That's really interesting. You'd expect Enzo to have more goals, essentially. I think he forced a good save yesterday. Of course, he had a wonder goal saved again. Was it against Newcastle the game before? So he's been a bit unlucky with goalkeepers pulling off amazing saves. But yeah, you need to get more. With 10 shots on target, we need some more goals. And I don't know if that includes the penalty or not. So that might only be one open play goal out of 10 shots. And then here we go. Look, again, dominant shooting goals added. Look, Nico Jackson again, Raheem Sterling again in terms of 1-2s, which is of course we all know what 1-2s are, like playing between each other. Again, Sterling again, 1-2s closed, as in like the receiving side. So he's done so much. It's just literally all Nico Jackson and Raheem Sterling. And to these people who are like, oh, why are we still starting Jackson? Oh, why are we still starting Sterling? These guys are just dominant in everything. You know, when Bria starts, granted, Bria hasn't had much of a chance. But, you know, Mudryk, you'd talk about Noni Madueke. These guys, you know, this is what they're coming up against. Now, this pleases me. Counter-pressing actions from Enzo Fernandez. So I'm very, very surprised this isn't Conor Gallagher, by the way, because he's dominated all these generally. And, of course, Conor Gallagher and Enzo Fernandez, at the moment, are playing as offensive eights, either side and slightly in front of Moises Caicedo, who himself's got 18. So they're doing counter-pressing a bit further up the pitch. Enzo Fernandez isn't just a passenger taking like Hollywood shots and missing. He is top of the list for Chelsea in terms of counter-pressing actions. He's not, you know, a Hollywood World Cup winner, or he is, but he's also very, very hard-working. Here we go again. Shots, Nico Jackson, 34 shots. 34, so 6 goals out of 34 shots. That doesn't seem like the greatest return for me. But then again, he's underperforming his XG, so... chances created, is top with assists, so very interesting to see Conor Gallagher has 20 chances created, and the next up, of course, is Cole Palmer with 4 less. You'd think Cole Palmer would be the top of this list, really, but then again, he didn't start the season, he didn't start yesterday, as in he didn't start at the beginning of the season. So, I don't actually know what SPR is. Through balls, again, this is good to see Enzo top of the list. You know, I'm kind of saying this because you got people like Matt Law saying he's not performing well yet because he's not scoring goals or getting these assists. He's probably checked Chelsea's goals and assists and not seen Enzo there. But like, you know, Pochettino will be looking at stuff like this and be thinking, yeah, he's essentially doing everything he should be in that position. Raz popping up again. He's most for successful dribbles. Doesn't surprise me. 31. He loves to dribble. Had someone like Noni Madueke played more, he might, because all he does is dribble, Noni. Cole Palmer, interesting, but he's 5th there, but Cole likes to release the ball. He doesn't always carry it. He makes those creative through ball passes on the deck. Unsurprising, Thiago Silva has got the most total passes. Of course, centre-backs often do. And he's the sort of orchestrator of the game, so that's very pleasing to see. And again, another centre-back follows in Disasi. And of course, Enzo Fernandez, who's generally our pass master from midfield. So good. Successful crosses, that's pretty low, 7, but we don't really play like that. Unsurprisingly, interceptions and indeed tackles 1 is Conor Gallagher. And fouls conceded down there is Conor Gallagher as well. And we go right down to red cards. Of course, we've got 3 already this season. Reece James, Conor Gallagher, and Malo Gusto. That, to me, is too many cards. And then, you know, we can look at Sanchez there, but you've got no one to compare him against because Georgia Petrovic has not played. So I wanted to talk about this because it really highlights the fact how Nico Jackson and Raheem Sterling really are leading the way in our attack. I know they've been given all the minutes, and Chelsea are frustrating at times, and you see them missing chances. Sterling, I feel like, unless it's 2018 and he's just playing in their Man City side and everyone's started to compare him to Messi, as a system player though, Sterling will always frustrate, he will. But he's having a good season. He is. Raheem Sterling is having a good season. He's dominated those metrics alongside Nico Jackson, and Nico's been Chelsea's starting striker, so he's going to have chances. And he has had chances, Nico. He probably should be praised for putting himself in all those positions to miss those chances, because trust me, we know we've had Chelsea strikers that just don't put themselves in the position, and, you know, that's very frustrating. And when Jack Grealish scored that goal at tap-in yesterday for Man City, That's his first goal in 27 games. And you look at Marcus Rashford's form and also not just his form, his like persona, like how his head's dropping. How is Sterling not getting into this England side when he's got, he's top for all our metrics. He's working really, really hard. He's got like 5 goals in the league and a few more. Jack Grealish has just scored his first goal in 27 games, and Sterling's, making chances as well. Anyway, look, we can talk about that, but I'm not going to go into it. But I found this really interesting. The dominated metrics there. Bria does look good and he can have a chance. And also, when given more of a chance, Mudryk. Now, Mudryk won a penalty for Chelsea yesterday. Of course, I'll go into it. Please do consider watching my previous upload, the complete breakdown of Chelsea 3, Brighton 2. And a little bit of a contentious penalty. People on Match of the Day both said it wasn't a penalty, or at the very least, it shouldn't have been called to the screen. I would be a bit annoyed if it was given against me, I think, but at the same time, when you've got a big clumsy Milner putting his legs across, I think De Zerbi said it was a penalty as well. Anyway, it's hardly a travesty, but Mudryk won that. And I think, as time goes by, he's quietly settling into this team. It's no longer, because when he came to Chelsea, we were like, it was this Arsenal saga, he was twerking for Arsenal, he ended up at Chelsea. He missed some sitters, he got injured. Of course, there's what's going on in his homeland and lots of stuff, and there's just noise, and then everything around him is Chelsea just being frantic and bad. And now, it's kind of helped him a little bit that he's not always started. And when he comes on, the spotlight isn't on him, and he's just quietly doing what he can do well. At Shakhtar, they built the team around him. They had that scenario where all the Brazilians left because of the invasion. They had like the right to rip up their contract and leave, and they were left with one of their own, a Ukrainian international, Mudryk, who was, can hit the ball really hard and run really fast in behind. So they played this like low block and counter into the left channel in a league that, of course, the Ukrainian league isn't as good as the Premier League. I don't need to tell you that. But they had this really useful tool that just worked in Mudryk, and that didn't translate to a highly systemic, tactical way of playing in a difficult league, and it was going to take time. But with time, and with him slowly settling down in England, making friends, getting the coach's trust, feeling the pressure alleviate, he can go about his business, win the odd penalty, score the odd goal against Arsenal when it was a chip, not necessarily a shot. And over time, I think he will start talking about him again, and the conversation will come up about him again, but not in a bad way, in a good way. And I'm really, really pleased for him. He's, like it or not, like him and, Enzo, these are the high-profile future, well, Caicedo as well, and whatever you could talk about. I think Nico's on a long contract, but in terms of the high investment, he's wearing the number 10 on his back. He is very young. Enzo's like the number 8, these iconic numbers. They are the future, and I think Enzo's been largely brilliant since he joined Chelsea and hasn't been an issue, but Mudryk has been a talking point. And I feel like now he's just quietly settling into being good, and I think people are feeling a lot more comfortable with it. Wicked! Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this type of video. I wanted it to be a little bit more of a conversational piece of content about Chelsea's performance thus far. Of course, we're going to play at Old Trafford on Wednesday. I will do a preview for that match tomorrow after Pochettino speaks. Of course, we'll have players coming back. United do look pretty bad, but then again, they can just beat people at home sometimes. And Chelsea are unpredictable. So keep it locked for that. In the meantime, I'll thank you for joining me. If there any news does pop off here in the world of Chelsea, I'll react to it. So turn the bell on if you choose to subscribe. All right, friends. Peace.